Picture this moment. You're sitting across from her, and something shifts, not in what you're saying, not in what you're doing, but in what you're not doing. For the first time, you're not scrambling to fill every silence. You're not performing for her approval. You're not dancing to the rhythm of her expectations. And suddenly, she leans forward. Her entire energy changes, because she's just encountered something rare in today's world, a man who doesn't need her validation to feel complete. Here's what nobody tells you about genuine attraction. It's not born from your achievements. It's not created by your perfect responses. It's not even about your looks or your wallet. Real magnetic pull comes from something much deeper. Your ability to remain centered when everything around you is chaos. Think about the last time you felt truly drawn to someone. Was it because they were trying so hard to impress you, or was it because they carried themselves with a quiet certainty? That unspoken confidence that whispers, "I'm complete with or without you." Most men get this backwards. They think attraction is something you create, but attraction is something you reveal. By becoming the kind of man who doesn't crumble under pressure, who doesn't lose his center when tested, who doesn't need external validation to know his worth. Let me share something that will change how you see this entire game. The most attractive men I know barely speak in crowded rooms. They don't compete for attention. They don't rush to prove their intelligence or success. They simply exist with such solid presence that others gravitate toward them, like planets orbiting a sun. This isn't about being cold or distant. This is about being so grounded in who you are that you don't need to perform. When you stop chasing approval, approval starts chasing you. But here's where most men stumble. They think they need to become someone else to be attractive. They believe they need to master pickup lines or psychological tricks. The truth is simpler and more challenging. You need to become comfortable being disliked. You need to be okay with being misunderstood. You need to stop apologizing for taking up space in this world. Because the moment you stop needing her to like you, something magnetic happens. She starts wondering why you're different, why you're not falling over yourself to win her favor, why her usual tactics don't seem to affect you, and that curiosity becomes fascination. Think about the men who left the deepest impression on you. Were they the ones who agreed with everything you said? Or were they the ones who had their own opinions, their own path, the ones who would walk away if the situation didn't serve them? That's the energy that creates genuine attraction. Not desperation disguised as kindness, not people-pleasing masked as caring, but authentic self-respect that can't be shaken. Now here's the part that might sting a little. If you're constantly worried about what she thinks of you, you've already lost. Not because she's the enemy, but because you've made her opinion more important than your own. You've handed over your emotional remote control to someone else, and nobody finds that attractive, not even the person holding the remote. Real confidence doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to be proven or defended. It simply is. Like a mountain doesn't need to prove it's tall. Like the ocean doesn't need to prove it's deep. When you reach this level of inner stability, something incredible happens. You stop being reactive. You stop taking things personally. You stop needing to fix everyone else's emotions. And suddenly, you become the most interesting person in the room. Not because you're trying to be interesting, but because you're genuinely interested in life itself, instead of being focused on what you can get from others. This shift in energy is felt instantly. Women can sense when a man is operating from need versus when he's operating from choice. And choice is infinitely more attractive than need. But let me be clear about something. This isn't about becoming emotionally unavailable. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. This is about developing such a strong relationship with yourself that you're not dependent on external validation for your happiness. When you love yourself enough to set boundaries, when you respect yourself enough to walk away from situations that drain you, when you trust yourself enough to follow your own path, that's when you become magnetic. Because you're not trying to be someone for someone else. You're simply being yourself, fully and unapologetically. And that authenticity is rare. In a world where everyone is performing, the person who simply exists stands out. Here's what this looks like in practice. You're not rushed to respond to every text immediately. You're not anxious when she doesn't call back right away. You're not constantly seeking reassurance about where you stand. Because you know where you stand, with or without her. This doesn't mean you don't care. This means you care from a place of strength, not weakness. You love from abundance, not scarcity, and that changes everything. When you stop needing someone to complete you, you become complete. When you stop needing someone to validate you, you become valuable. When you stop needing someone to choose you, you become chosen. This is the paradox of attraction. The less you need it, the more you receive it. The less you chase it, the more it pursues you. But this only works if it's genuine. If it's just another strategy to get what you want, it will backfire, because authenticity can't be faked. Real confidence comes from doing the inner work, from facing your fears, from developing skills and competence, from building a life you're proud of. When you become the kind of man you would respect and admire, that's when others respect and admire you too. So here's my challenge to you. For the next week, practice being comfortable with silence. Practice not needing to fill every pause in conversation. Practice not rushing to fix every uncomfortable moment. Just breathe. Just be present. Just exist without performing. And watch what happens. You'll discover that your presence is enough. Your authentic self is enough. You are enough. And when you truly believe that, everyone else will too. Remember this. The most magnetic people in the world aren't trying to be magnetic. They're simply being themselves so completely that it's impossible to ignore. That's the energy I want you to cultivate. That's the man I want you to become. Not for her, but for you. Because a man who doesn't need external validation to feel valuable is truly free. And freedom is the most attractive quality of all. But here's where the real transformation begins. This journey isn't just about attracting women. It's about reclaiming your masculine essence in a world that's forgotten what that means. You see, somewhere along the way, we were told that being a man meant being aggressive, or that strength meant never showing emotion, or that success meant stepping on others to get ahead. But real masculine power is quieter than that, more nuanced, more profound. It's the power to remain calm in storms, to lead without forcing, to love without losing yourself. This is what creates that magnetic presence that draws people in. When you're not trying to prove you're the alpha in the room, when you're not competing with every other man you meet, when you're not threatened by other people's success, that's when your authentic strength shines through. And that authenticity is what people are starving for. In a world of social media facades and carefully crafted images, people can sense when someone is real, when someone is comfortable in their own skin, and they're drawn to that like moths to a flame. So how do you develop this unshakable inner core? It starts with radical self-honesty, looking at your patterns, your insecurities, your fears, not to judge them, but to understand them, because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Maybe you realize you've been seeking approval since childhood. Maybe you discover you're afraid of being alone. Maybe you see that you've been using achievements to feel worthy. Whatever it is, face it, because on the other side of that honesty is freedom. The freedom to choose who you become, rather than being controlled by unconscious patterns. This is inner work, the kind that transforms you from the inside out. And when that transformation happens, it's felt by everyone around you. Your energy changes, your presence changes, your entire way of being in the world shifts. You stop asking for permission to be yourself. You stop apologizing for having opinions. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. And suddenly, you become someone others want to be around, not because you're perfect, but because you're authentic, not because you have all the answers, but because you're comfortable with the questions. This is the man who doesn't need to chase, because he's worth being chased. This is the man who doesn't need to prove himself, because his actions speak louder than words. This is the man who doesn't need to control others, because he's mastered himself. And this mastery, this inner sovereignty, is magnetic. It draws people in without trying. It creates attraction without manipulation. It builds respect without demanding it. So as you go forward from here, remember this. Your worth isn't determined by who wants you. Your value isn't measured by external achievements. Your strength isn't proven by who you can dominate. Your true power lies in your ability to be completely yourself, in any situation, with any person, under any pressure. That's the kind of confidence that changes rooms when you walk in. That's the kind of presence that lingers long after you've left. That's the kind of man that others remember and respect. And most importantly, that's the kind of man you can be proud to be. When you look in the mirror at the end of each day, knowing you lived authentically, knowing you honored your values, knowing you chose courage over comfort, that's when you'll understand what true attraction really is. It's not about getting others to want you. It's about becoming someone you genuinely respect and admire. And when that happens, everything else falls into place. because a man who truly likes himself is impossible to resist. This is your invitation to become that man. Starting today, starting now, the world is waiting for the real you to show up.